Shalom. All praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutation, brothers. Hopefully, like wishing this word of truth and sincerity. This video here is going to be Dr. Umar Johnson. You are clueless. All right. So, Dr. Umar Johnson, he's one of these, these prestigious men who, has all these degrees, who has all the answers to what he calls black problems, the issues that befall African people. All right. By him calling himself black and African lets you know everything you need to know about him. It lets us know clearly he has absolutely no clue what the hell is going on. All right. So he's on the Breakfast Club and he's doing this interview. It's like an hour and 16 minutes, I think it is. Let me see. Yeah, hour and 16 minutes. It's all right. With watching it, it just confirms he has no clue what's going on. So it's a few points in there. I just want to kind of point in and go out to. So let's see.
The 6th of 2020 until I done it last Saturday in Boston.
Wow.
So it's been 13 months.
Wow.
And now, last time you were up here, we were talking about your school and
Yes.
the school that you opened. What's
FDMG Academy.
The Frederick Douglass
Right.
Marcus Garvey Academy. It's a bittersweet report, brothers, because let me make it real simple so y'all can understand this. We have two schools, right? They look across the street at one another. The Marcus Garvey building is the elementary school, and the Frederick Douglass building is much larger. It's the high school. Mm-hmm. Now, we're focusing on the Garvey building right now, right? If you were to say, how soon can that building be ready? It can be ready in 3 weeks. We only have 3 weeks worth.
First, I want to put out this the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. These are two Jakes. They're prominent when it comes to dealing with civil rights, but when it comes to the scriptures, they have absolutely no clue. Because one thing you'll notice is that those who are prominent or trusting this kingdom and trying to turn things around, dealing with civil rights, asking your enemy to treat you fairly, they're destroyed. They're destroying you as a people. All right. And he named his school the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. He named his school after them. All right.
The repairs, 3 weeks worth of HVAC, 3 weeks worth of electric, 3 weeks worth of plumbing. Mm-hmm. So if, hypothetically speaking, if a black tradesman, a black HVACer said, I'm going to come volunteer, I'm going to fix the system, you have to pay for all of the materials, but I'm going to donate my time. Mm-hmm. If an electrician, if a plumber said, we're going to donate our time to fix the system, but you have to pay for all the material, the school would be up and running in 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. That's all we have. Mm-hmm. The problem is, Charlemagne and Envy, is I haven't come across black folks who are willing to donate their time. That's one. Mm-hmm. So we have to raise enough money to pay market rate for those repairs. Mm-hmm. So the HVAC, the bills that I'm getting are ranging from $250 on up. The plumbing, the bills I'm getting are ranging from like $150 on up. Mm-hmm. You see, mm-hmm. So we have to raise about $300,000 just to handle that. Where if we had some black folk who was willing to donate their time, the school would be up and running in 3 weeks.
I wonder if they change their perspective of how they look at this, right? Like you bought the building, but I would look at it like a startup.
Outright, we own it, no mortgage.
Yeah, I would look at it like it's a startup. And this is what you're doing.
They're in good shape.
Yeah.
The schools they're modern, they're not old. Mm-hmm. This was a charter school that was renovated at the tune of $13 million.
He just said that if they got the money to get things started and taken care of, they would own it with no mortgage. Okay. All right, I'll give you this. Say if you do own the building, the deed, you paid everything, you paid all your dues to it. All right. The land that it's sitting on, who owns that? Okay. Say you own the land. All right. who are you paying your taxes to? Because at the end of the day, and if you don't pay those land taxes, they can come and take the land and whatever's on it. So do you really own that? Are you really in ownership of anything? You have to remember the earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. Who was the wicked? Esau, Edom. Job 9:24. Alright? So if the earth has been given into him, the rulership of this kingdom has been given to him, what are you gonna do? He's one of these guys that's always trying to come up some other way. He has all the solution to black problems, which once again, black means void of light. You know, which is actually true. Black people don't have they're void of the understanding of these scriptures. If you're a so-called if you're a black man or a black woman, all right.
Back in 2010. This is 2021. The school is only 10, 11 years old. They are modern. They're in good shape. The only thing we have to do is the plumbing, the electric, and the HVAC. We don't have to do no new construction. It's only repair. And that's why it's so frustrating for me, because it's only 3 weeks worth of repairs, not a month, not a year, 3 weeks worth of repairs, and the school could be up and running. So if I were Mexican, the school be done. If I were Chinese, the school be done. If I was East Indian, if I was Arab, if I was European Jew, if I was Italian, the school be done. It's only...
Now, of course, he has absolutely no idea that the so-called Mexicans are our people too.
Because it's us that we don't take something like this as serious.
So it's like raising money in another round for a startup company.
Raising the money in another round for like a startup company.
Well, tell them what he sent donations. Well,
the donation should go to cash.me/FDMG school. So if you're on the Cash app, it's $FDMG school. If you're PayPal, it's paypal.me/FDMG Academy.
Okay.
So Cash app is FDMG school. PayPal is FDMG Academy.
Do you feel that, you're not...
Ball league, I would have the support. But we are not accustomed to being responsible for building our own institutions. So, for example, if you look around America, can you show me a single independent black community in 50 states? 50 states.
The reason why you can't find that is because we're under the curses. This is not our rest. This is not our kingdom. All right. Matter of fact, let me get that real quick. Salakia, I can hold on a sec. All right, this is Micah chapter 2, verse 10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with the sword destruction. Everything is polluted here. So no, you won't be able to get in a position where you own everything outright, because that requires being sovereign. All right, let's continue on.
You can't show me one black community where we own the hospital, the bank, the school, and the supermarket. And the reason I point out those four institutions, Envy, is because you need the supermarket to feed the people, the school to teach the people, the hospital to save the people, and the bank to invest in the people. So those are the four essential institutions of an independent community. You don't have those four in any black town anywhere in the United States, and we are a $2 trillion people. How do you explain that? And I'm
going to tell you how to explain it. Let's go to the scriptures. Because, contrary to popular belief, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you are the Israelites. And so thus you have come upon these curses. This is how we're going to explain it. Deuteronomy chapter 28, I'm going to start at verse 15. It says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I commanded thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. All right. We did not hearken, or we did not listen to the Lord. We broke these commandments. So thus, we didn't get the blessings. We got the curses. Now let's go into a few of them. Verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Whether you in the city, whether you in the field, whether you're working, wherever you at in the country, outside the city, you're going to be cursed. Cursed shall thy basket, cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, meaning your children, and the fruit of the land, and the increase of thy kin, and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. Whether you coming or going, you're gonna be cursed. So you're not gonna own outright or have your own as he said, supermarket, hospitals, schools, everything like that, because you have to feed into Esau Edom's system, because he is the ruler. He's over you at this point. All right. I'm gonna skip on over to verse 29. It says, and thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness. You see? Our people are groping all the time. And thou shalt be only, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. Whatever you put your hand to, it's not gonna prosper. Now, I'm not saying you're not gonna, if you decide to start up a business or things like that, it may, you might get a little bit, but we talking about our people as a whole, Israelites as a whole, you're not going to prosper in none of your ways. You're not going to get on top, okay? Because, like I said, Micah 2:10, this is not your rest because it's polluted, okay? Continue on. And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. All right, you're gonna only be oppressed. The only time that we've been up was during King Solomon's reign. We've been oppressed ever since then, since before then and after then. You see that? That's the only time we've ever had any type of peace or rest, was during the time of King Solomon. That's it. We are constantly oppressed. We are constantly spoiled. Every nation on this earth takes from us. All right. And it says, and no man shall save thee. Marcus Garvey, Frederick Douglass, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks. What's that woman name they call Black Moses? Harriet Tubman. Barack Obama. Joe Biden. None of these people are going to save you. Okay? T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar, Tyler Perry. None of these people are going to save you. You have to serve out these curses. All right, I'm going to skip on over to verse 33. The fruit of thy land and all thy labor shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up. And thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always. See that? And go down to 44. He shall lend to thee. Matter of fact, I'm going to start at 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. All right? We were once up high, then we down low. Okay? He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. We go to Esau Edom for loans, to borrow, mortgages, car notes, whatever. We get everything from our enemy who's ruling over us. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. We get the ass end of everything. You know that phrase? Oh man, you get the ass end of the stick. We get the ass end of everything. All right, we the tail. We not the head. So until we become the head, we're not going to have our own supermarkets, own hospitals, own schools, own anything. Okay? All right.
Say slavery, one of the psychological residuals of slavery, it took from us that natural desire to want to control your environment and your destiny. If you notice, when ethnic nationals come to America, the first thing they do is look for, where are we going to build our first community? That's the first thing, because it is natural to want to control your environment. It is natural to guarantee your children their future. Black people don't do that. When we wake up, the first thing we think about is, what can I buy to make myself look more important than other black people? You see, so our whole orientation towards life is different from other groups as a result of slavery.
What would you say to people in Atlanta?
Now he says this was as a result of slavery. All right. No, it was a result of our disobedience to the Heavenly Father. That's why we're in the position that we're in right now. Okay? Let's see, I'm going to skip.
Building and maintaining relationships with teachers and peers. Teachers with an S, peers with an S. But guess what they do? If a black boy can't get along with one teacher, they'll say he's emotionally disturbed. That's against the law. The law doesn't say you can classify a kid as emotionally disturbed because of one teacher. You're supposed to show a pattern. He can't get along with most of the teachers. He can't get along with most of his peers. But one relationship issue with one teacher, and they'll slap him with an emotional disturbance because the parents don't know the law. And to that point, before I forget.
By the way, they definitely had all that stuff when I was in school. They was definitely trying to put me on Ritalin in elementary
My
school.
new book.
Black Parent Advocate.
Copy for Envy.
Thank you, sir.
Copy for Angie.
Thank you, sir.
Now, this new book here, Black Parent Advocate, follows up on my first book, which y'all have. And this book is broken into two sections. The first section gives our parents a whole bunch of sample letters that they can use to give to the school if they're having a problem. So if the school says, we want to test your son for a reading disability, and you don't want that to happen, I have a letter that you can give the school. If the school says your son can't come back unless you put him on medication, I have a letter you can give them for that. If your child is in special ed and they haven't learned anything, although they've been in special ed for 40 and 50 years, I have a letter that you can give them for that. So the first half is letters parents can use to respond. Because most of the time when I'm helping on parents, I have to show them how to respond. The second half of the book teaches them how to understand the different documents that the school gives them. So if Charlemagne gets a psychological evaluation for your daughter, you don't know what this is, but I got a chapter in here that shows you how to understand it. What should be in it? What are the sections? How do you judge it? If DJ Envy gets an IEP for his son, he looks at that.
Now I want to say this. He, selling his books and everything. We have the scriptures here. Everything we need to know is literally right here. Now, that's not to say that, if you want to get, different information on, other ways to, help maneuver through Esau's system and, all those different things, that's great. But the true wisdom comes out of these scriptures, and it tells you, these scriptures give you the lowdown on how to maneuver through this kingdom. All right.
Way the rest of his life. But here's a point I want you gentlemen to recognize.
Tonight at 7:30 on Valley Sports New Orleans.
When he spun, you heard the crowd say, ooh.
I want to go to President Biden. President Biden, your first day of office, you signed an executive order to protect the life and safety of transgenders. I have no problem with that. But you did it on your first day. But he sat up here with you, Charlemagne, and told black people that if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. So if you went out of your way begging black people to vote for you, Why haven't we got an executive order or any other activity coming out of the Oval Office from President Biden to protect black people from police?
I agree.
Look what he's doing with the anti-Asian hate. President Joe Biden signed an executive order that is exclusive to Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. I don't have a problem with that. But if you can protect the Asian American and Pacific Islander from violence, why can't you do the same thing for black people? They've been dealing with violence for 1 year as a result of COVID. That's what it's called, the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Bill, to protect Asians as a result of discriminatory treatment that they've been dealing with for how long? 1 year. Black people have been catching hell for 400 years, and we have yet to get an executive order from Joe Biden to protect us from the police. And also, Charlemagne and Envy, to further highlight the racism of American government, the transgender executive order is not for people of color. It is not for minorities. It is not for disadvantaged communities. Guess who it's for? Transgender. The anti-Asian Pacific Islander hate executive order against hate is not for people of color. It's not for minorities. It's not for disadvantaged Americans. It is exclusively and only for Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. Why am I bringing that up? Because when Barack Obama was in office, all these Negroes running around screaming for Obama, I still don't know why, was said that Barack Obama can't do nothing specifically for black people because this is America. And when we got the Civil Rights Bill in 64 and the Voting Rights Act in 65, they included 2 words at the end of that. One was gender and the other was sexual orientation. So the Civil Rights Bill did not only apply to blacks, it applied to everybody. So if you have to make laws for all Americans, Charlemagne and Envy, how do you explain the fact that the Asian Americans got a law just for them? Yesterday, the United States Senate, in historic precedence, passed the anti-Asian hate crimes bill at a vote of 96-1. Now, to give you an idea of what that means, the Senate, they don't agree on nothing. The Democrats and Republicans, they filibuster each other to death. But yesterday they didn't. 96, only one person voted against the anti-Asian hate crimes bill. So can I ask you a question? If the Senate was able to pass the anti-Asian hate crimes bill, Charlemagne and Envy, 96-1 with almost no opposition, why is it that the Emmett Till lynching bill still has not been approved? Why is it that there have been over 200 different anti-lynching bills introduced in the U.S. Congress? 200! And not one of them has been approved by the U.S. Congress yet. But the first ever Asian bill goes through on the first try.
I'll tell you why. Because with the tail and not the head. And I'll give you the answer to this. This is Isaiah chapter 30, verse 12. Wherefore, thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise the word and trust in oppression and perverseness and stay thereon. All right. Our people trust in perverseness and oppression, and they want to stay here. Our people don't want to get out of here. Verse 13. Therefore, this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant. And he shall break it as the breaking of the potter's vessel that is broken in pieces. He shall not spare, so that there shall not be found in the bursting of it a shear to take the fire from the hearth, or to take water withal out of the pit. All right. Our people trust in oppression and this perverse society, and they want to stay here. They trust in Joe Biden. They trusted in Barack Obama. They trust them in Kamala Harris. They trust in them to make a change for the better for us. That's not going to happen. All right. Let's see.
like he did for the transgenders and the Asians. Why are our black elected officials sitting there quiet on Capitol Hill watching our people get assassinated like this when they're right down the street from the president? And I'll tell you why. They're Democrats. And when you're a registered Democrat, you're part of a team. You're part of a club. And you can't go too hard because we will lose middle of the road Republicans and conservative Democrats in the midterm elections. So all those blacks in the CBC got to be quiet, shut up, swallow their pain, and deal with it, because you cannot rock the boat or you will mess up the whole Democratic agenda. That's why I do not vote for black people who are registered as Democrats or Republicans. I only vote for independent candidates, because if you are not an independent candidate, you don't have an independent program, you are not an independent thinker, and you ain't going to bring us no independent freedom. The Democrats are a waste of time. If the Congressional Black Caucus can't make Joe Biden do anything for black people, then they need to dissolve themselves. We don't even need them anymore. They're useless.
This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and spake as a dragon. All right. He had two horns like a lamb, and spake as a dragon. So you got the Democrats and Republicans, going against each other. But you got to think about this. It says another beast came up out the earth. All right, those two horns are on that same beast. So they come out of the same system. All right. They might be looking like they're opposed to each other, but they're really working together. All right. And he says he's going to vote for independent candidates. Nigga, you voting. Because that's why I said entitled this. He is absolutely clueless. He does not understand what's going on. He does not understand that the problem is you. Jake, you are the problem. We are the problem. The reason why we're going through what we're going through, the reason why we're on the bottom, is because we were disobedient. He talked about accountability earlier too. Our people refuse to be accountable for their actions. Can't play the blame game. You got to take accountability for your actions. All right.
Right now, Naomi Osaka. Am I saying her name right? The tennis sister.
Mm-hmm. Naomi Osaka, yes.
Naomi, I love the sister, right? She knocked off the greatest of all time, the GOAT, in Serena. But guess what? Who is she representing in the upcoming Olympics? Is she representing Haiti? No, she representing Japan. So here you have a half African sister, an African sister because there's no such thing as half African. Our genes are dominant. So you got an African sister with a Japanese mother, and instead of going back home to your father's blood, Haiti, to represent the Africans in Haiti, you're instead going to represent the Japanese who've never done anything for black folks and are part of the Trilateral Commission with the American white power structure. But who taught her to play tennis? Did her Japanese mother teach her to play tennis, or did her black Haitian father teach her to play tennis? Her black Haitian father taught her to play tennis. It's the African DNA. It's the African ancestors in that girl that's responsible for her tennis success. But instead of representing us, she's going to go represent the Japanese.
No, that's a lie. All right. So, he's right about she is what her father is, so she would actually be Haitian. But he's looking at it from the aspect of, as he calls it, African DNA is the dominant gene. So basically, if any African, as he calls it, mixes or goes and brings about a child with another nation, whether they so-called Japanese, Chinese, or white or whatever, then you're automatically African according to his logic. But no, it's actually according to who your father is. Okay? But that's where that comes in at. See. We're going to get that. This is, Numbers chapter 1, verse 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers. See that? According to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. All right. So your pedigree, your heritage, your line is by your house of your father. So you are what your father are. You are your father's seed. Okay. And this is why I says he clueless, because he doesn't realize that he's not African. First of all, he's not a Hamite. Second of all, he's not a descendant of Leo Scipio Africanus. That's why I said, Dr. Umar Johnson, you're clueless about what's going on.
This is what you got to deal with when you make mixed race African children.
I think listen, hold on, baby. I think her case is a little different though, because she identifies fully as a black woman. She definitely does.
So if you identify fully as a black woman, Charlamagne, why is she not representing Haiti?
I get it, but that's a little asterisk. Because if because she's putting her money in the black causes, she puts her money in the black organizations. She got a black boyfriend. Like she stands up for black causes.
You see what Haiti going through?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So do you know what?
I don't even know if Haiti got a tennis team, so I don't know, to be honest with you.
They don't have to have one. She will win the whole.
Nah, Haiti, they're Israelites. They're going through what they're going through because they're under the curses. The same reason why, same reason why Judah's going through what they're going through. The so-called Negro, the so-called Mexicans, they're going through what they're going through. All of the tribes of Israel are going through their hell because we're under the curses. Just that simple. Okay. He even talked about that's enough of that. I'm not even gonna go any more in this video because I'm gonna start getting more of that. But he even talked about him being a Pan-African. Okay. And it's funny was I went and looked up. Matter of fact, let's do it. Hold on. We're gonna look it up. All right, let's see. So look at this. Pan-Africanism. It says the idea that peoples of African descent have common interests and should be unified. So he wants everyone who comes from Africa to be unified and under one umbrella. All right. In its narrowest political manifestation, Pan-Africanists envision a unified African nation where all people of the African diaspora can live. He cut himself. By calling himself a Pan-African, he literally cut himself. Because check this out. Pan-Africanists envision a unified African nation where all people of the African diaspora can live. What's the diaspora? Let's get that. Let's get it. All right. The diaspora.
Diaspora.
The dispersion of the Jewish people beyond Israel. Jewish people living outside of Israel. You see that? That's who the diaspora is. The diaspora is the Israelites that were dispersed into the other nations, into all nations, to the four corners of the earth. So he cut himself by calling himself a Pan-African. All right. Once again, Dr. Umar Johnson, you have no clue what's going on. You are clueless. All right. Call hello, Yahweh Bashem, Al Shai, Bashem, Dash. Hope you edified on that. So I'll say Shalom.